What is it that you invested thousands of hours and now is pointless? Write in the comments what you think about it. What's the most useless thing you've spent 1,000 hours on? Enjoy the show. Story 1, a personality. They told me I was ugly as fuck. I agreed. Instead, I worked on my personality to charm people. Not that it didn't work. It did. But turns out people were shit to begin with. Fuck them. I would rather be repellent to these people than be charming to these dingbats. Story 2, definitely piano. And I wasn't even learning from an actual teacher. It was just my perfectionist grandmother who decided that her newly college freshman granddaughter, who was taking accounting, which she forced me to take since programming was BS asterisk in her words, wasn't stressed enough. She basically handed me some music books and let me figure it out myself. I was expected to report to her house every day and play piano for minimum 4 hours, while she snarkily commented on all I did wrong. I don't play piano anymore. I dropped out of accounting and now I'm working controls. If there's one thing worse than Asian parents, it is Asian grandparents. P.S. She also made me take ballet as a kid since in her eyes my posture wasn't graceful enough, then made me drop it when I started to love it because I should be focusing on my studies. I was 6 years old, JFC. Story 3, honestly? Any online video game. I have hundreds of thousands of hours on multiplayer online required games and spent a lot of money on said games, knowing full well these servers are going to shut down one day, and the only proof of how much time I put into the game are pictures, screenshots of my accomplishments which will be forgotten about in a year or so. I'm having fun now, but I know in the end it's pointless. Story 4, NFT. I got interested in NFT 2 years ago and wanted to make my own collection. I drew my collection myself, I wrote code in Solidity and put it on the marketplace. It may sound easy to you, but when generating an NFT, a code must be written, a JSON file must be generated for each NFT, and a smart contract will be written to it when it is uploaded to the marketplace. At every step, some kind of error will occur in the code. I created a total of 3 collections. My first collection was average, second was average, and third was perfect. But I didn't earn money from these collections. I spent money writing smart contract and launching it. All this was pointless, and I spent exactly 1 year on it. Story 5, gaming. Ridiculous amounts of gaming. I'm only 19 years old, but I've got around 25k hours total on Terraria, Fortnite, Rust, Counter-Strike Source Go, and a few other games. I started young, 7 YRs, which I used a family laptop nobody else used. My parents were really busy, always have been, and I also used my brother's PCs at that time. Became addicted at young age and was playing probably 4 hours plus at this age, and when I reached 12, 18, it bounced to 8-12 HRs a day, which then fucked up my sleep, school, socializing, etc. I became self-conscious about my gaming addiction and the cons of it around age 16, when my best friend online had taken suicide. He was 1 year younger than me. Story 6. I learned 5 languages up to a fluent, still not perfect level, play 3 instruments, have a master's degree in social anthropology, another one in health, not in the US, so not in debt, and 10 years experience in research. Life turned out differently than expected, and I work now in a field where I can use maybe 10% of my competences. But now I love learning, earn good money, have a great team, an amazing boss and a wonderful partner, and work-life balance. Priorities shifted from living for work and constantly proving myself to working for life and being happy with myself. So it turned out pretty well. Story 7, Paste Up. The ancient pre-digital means of assembling magazines, newspapers, brochures, everything that gets published, using extinct items like waxers, non-repro blue pencils, press type, ruby and amberlith, T-squares and registration marks on rolls of tape, not to mention proofreaders and copy editors. No beer until after deadline. Story 8. Working. Still, just cannot get ahead. We were just not meant to have any money at all. The great thing, though, we have happiness. Some people have a lot of money and just hate life and everything in it. I'm so thankful that God has always provided for us. Maybe that's all we need. Maybe it's not so pointless after all. Amen. And I will continue working. Story 9. I spent a lot of time on social media not actively posting something, but rather just scrolling and reading thousands of posts where people ranting about their life. My thought was it would help me to get the real-life experience of people so I wouldn't repeat the same mistake, but now feel I wasted my tons of hours as everyone's journey is different, and you can learn from your mistake. Story 10. The Sims 4. Almost 2,000 hours in, and now it's updated so much that my 1-year-old laptop can't handle it. The game opens slowly. The graphics are on the lowest setting, and it crashes if it's open or fast-forwarding for too long. Plus, when it does work, it's slow. I mean, really, 3 days for a baby to pop out? And now they have a new infant age, so your Sims take even longer to grow up. Why? Story 11. Objectively, video gaming. Subjectively, never regretted single second of it and will do it till I have hands and eyes that works. You could say that now, when I'm adult, it's pointless, but gaming gave me so much. You could do something more productive than that. But as I have my life sorted in every aspect, there's no point to create additional stress with other pointless things that I should do by society standard, which I give 0 F *** Ks about. Story 12. Doom scrolling Reddit and other social media in order to avoid feeling feelings and doing the things that need doing. Pointless BC, the feelings are still there and the things that need doing are still there too. But now I'm in a relentless cycle of feeling guilty about putting these things off, doom scrolling to avoid guilt while subconsciously letting things pile up in my head, which induces more doom scrolling, etc. I cringe to think of the countless hours I could have spent doing something productive or something that might bring me a little joy, even though it's more high effort. And here I am, doom scrolling again at 1:48 a.m. BC. I have 0 self-control. Story 13. I gained 55M rune crafting experience in RuneScape back in the day. All of it done at the ZMI altar, not teleporting, for any of those that know about it. 40K experience, hour, if 100% focused, and not missing a click. My goal was 200 MXP, the max of any skill. I stopped, and a few months later a mini-game came out called RuneSpan, which could achieve experience gains 3-4 times faster than what I could do at ZMI. So I essentially would have had my goal of 200M with that time spent. Is that XP pointless now? You betcha. Would I go back and do it all again? Absolutely. I met some amazing friends and learned a bunch through assisting operation of a rune crafting clan. If any peeps happen to be an FFDNW 36, hit me up. Story 14, 5 years for BS in psychology. Then a 2-year internship. Then a 3-year master's program. Then a 2-year internship. 12 total years, then 6 years of heavy drug use followed by some A-class felonies. Flash forward to now where I'm an operational manager at a landscaping company. Side note, I do use my knowledge daily, but not in the way I planned. LOL, also turns out I love plants. Everything for a reason, they say. Also, 90% of my employees are felons and in recovery themselves, so it's actually almost too perfect. I retract my answer. Thank you for this chance to come full circle. Story 15. Back in middle school, after learning how genetics works, my nerdy friends and I, who were playing Pokemon at the time, had obtained the game guides which explained how to breed Pokemon to be stronger than others. Needless to say, we spent an entire year making a Pokemon eugenics lab in the games. Now, we eventually grew out of it and never did anything with it beyond that. But when I was 24 years old, I had to have a major surgery that left me bedridden for 3 months. I didn't really play any video games past the age of 19, so I decided I was going to get a newer Pokemon game that I could transfer the Pokemon from the older game where we had the eugenics program and transfer them to the new one. Needless to say, it was a bloodbath. Imagine Rocky IV, except every Pokemon I had was Ivan Drago. I eventually ended up not giving a shit because I thought the game was just too easy and have no idea where the game is at currently. Story 16. I would argue that technically, nothing is pointless since it can help you learn to apply certain things to other parts of your life. That being said, I would say my skills in not showing how depressed I am. I spent years learning to hide it, since I would get shit on for it. I have slowly been learning it is okay to have emotions again, and to show those emotions. It is hard work, and there are a lot of slipbacks, but I'm much better than I used to be. Story 17. Photoshop composites. I use Photoshop for my career daily, and love it so much I used to find ways to use it for fun. The past few years, I made these really intricate images of my niece and nephews as their favorite characters for Christmas gifts. I'd put them in the worlds of Harry Potter, Marvel, etc., and it took a really long time to get it right. Now, however, it takes a few seconds for anyone to have AI do something similar, so the magic of the gift is kinda gone. Story 18. I forgo the majority of my childhood to become a competitive Smite Fortnite player on a shitty laptop. I was planning on entering a competition with nigh 50 ping and 50 FPS laptop and surprise my parents with $50K. I was the smartest kid at school, and this is by far the most career-hindering, awe-stricken, and insidious thing I've done. I've played 2,000 hours of Smite and 300 of Fortnite. Story 19, Neopets. At its prime, mid-2000s, it was a huge social community and a massive digital playground where you could dive into all sorts of creative pursuits outside of the regular gameplay. Oftentimes, it was a young person's first exposure to web page design, digital art, free market concepts. It was a wild ride, and it was easy to sink hours and hours into it. Story 20. My college degree. Went to school for marketing in the 80s before internet was a thing. So I know nothing about digital marketing. And of course, the internet turned the whole industry upside down. Since companies won't train employees, I've pretty much been shut out of working in that field, but still had all the student loans to pay off with a job in retail that paid close to minimum wage. I would have been much better off taking a 6-month course to get a real estate license or cosmetology license. All my friends who never went to college are doing significantly better than me financially. Story 21. Surprised to see no League of Legends comments so far, lol. I was absolutely obsessed from 7 to 9 the grade. Played for hours, keeping my family up at night, yelling at myself and teammates. Spent tons of money on skins and champs just to stop playing one day and never pick it up again. I don't really talk with anyone I used to play with anymore, and I was never any good at all. Feels like I wasted a lot of time and pissed off my mom for memories I don't even look back on that fondly. I have memories of playing other games with my friends that I enjoy thinking about, but that game just made me mad the whole time I played. Story 22. I used to spend all of my free time watching videos, reading articles, or browse pictures that had or related to Beyoncé. Like Loki, as soon as I got home from school, I would turn the computer on and just browse for hours until my eyes hurt. Did this from when I was 12 to 18 years old. It made me very happy at the time, but looking back, I wish I have spent all of that socializing and kissing boys and having fun with my friends instead. But then, a teenager doesn't know any better. Story 23. Road racing motorcycles, until my body was too broken and my finances too wrecked to continue. Unfortunately for my lovely, amazing wife and our now 2 beautiful teen daughters, both breakage and wreckage occurred 2 months before we married and began a life together. The weeks in ICU, followed by bankruptcy, not an ideal way to start that journey. I still commute on a moto, and in SoCal that might be more hazardous than the racing. I've never been able to fully interact and physically play with my daughters because of my injuries, not from pain but lack of strength, and some joints just are what they once were. Sadder still, like any hopelessly addicted person, I'd do it all again, right now, if given the chance. This, despite having a wonderful home and family and career that keeps it all aloft. Story 24. Early in my tech career, I did desktop support and had to learn a lot about IBM Lotus Notes, which was an email client. I got really good at fixing and troubleshooting the program and felt robbed when I listed what I did at that job the following years on my resume. I even would have to decline jobs that needed Lotus Notes experience since I didn't want to be stuck doing that for my whole life. I actually forgot all about this until this post. Story 25 TBH. Gaming. It consumed so much time, money, and energy, and gave me nearly nothing in return besides short-time dopamine. Today, I look back on so many missed opportunities I never looked into. I was just sitting at home, moving my fingers and watching into a screen. I now figured out there are so many cool things to do and learn, and I hope that it's not too late for me to get myself enough into my other interests than computers and video games. But life catched up, and now I have to work and not even nearly as much time as before. It angers me. Go outside, kids. The word behind the screen is awesome and full of real adventures. Story 26 Nursing school for 2 years. Dropped out in my last semester. Dropped out before my C*NT of an instructor could fail me out. Spent a year on prereqs and 2 years in nursing. No RN for me. I think it might be for the best, though. That job is too much, but I wish I could get even some of that time back. I neglected my toddler at the time, told myself this would all be worth it to get us above the poverty line. But I'm still here, and my kiddo has no social skills. Sigh. Story 27. Trying to fix my now ex-husband. He was a narcissist, alcoholic, drug addict, and abuser. Cut him off for good a while back after he got diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia after freaking out and being placed on a psychiatric hold, which I wanted to be supportive of. But then tried to be all, see, I didn't mean all that stuff. I was just sick. So now when we get back together, I'll be different. Yeah, that totally fixes the years of hell you put me through, while I begged you to get help the entire time. Also, I didn't want to come back, period. You assumed that. No way, Jose. On the bright side, I now have a job I love, a supportive and loving partner, and I'm clean off of all the hard stuff. Not sure where he is, but I'm sure it's not somewhere nice. Story 28. The Witcher Monster Slayer mobile game. It's like Pokemon Go, but for Witcher monsters. For about a year, I tried to get all the monsters when I went out on my daily walk. Even spent a bit of money on weapons and powers. Nice way to get you out of the house and exercising. Then CDPR did a bizarre redesign of the game which made it unbalanced and unplayable, and the amount of players plummeted to nothing almost overnight. For 6 months, I limped along trying to adapt to the new unfair redesign, hoping it might get better. Then they killed the servers and withdrew the game from sale. 18 months of my life and about $60 I'll never get back. They got greedy and turned an awesome game into total pay-to-win garbage. Story 29. My life revolved around marching band, playing the trumpet when I was a teen. I remember the summer after 7th grade. I learned I didn't make the honors band for 8th grade and practiced about 2-4 hours a day every day. I got moved to honors the first week of school because I had improved so much. Because of this, every day of the week I was practicing around 4 hours a day. We had to log our practice sessions for a grade, and most weeks I'd have 30-40 hours of practice. My first 2 years of high school, during football or marching season, we had practice every morning before school, then more practice during the actual band class period during the day, and I would still go home and add another 2-3 hours on that. During the off-season, I practiced probably 6 hours a night on technical skills and etudes for auditions. I was being looked at by the Eastman School of Music when I was a freshman, and I threw it all away. Moved away when I was a junior, and I was going through a lot of mental health issues, so I just quit, simple as that. A big part of that was my new school was very small, and there was no competition anymore. Any specialized bands to do as an extracurricular were hours away, and I didn't have my license yet, and my parents wouldn't be able to take me. I could have had my life set out for me if I hadn't quit, but honestly, I feel like it's one of the better decisions I've made. I miss it, of course. Music was my first love, but there's more to life than only playing my trumpet. I still own multiple trumpets now. They just sit in my gaming room, haven't been touched, really. Sometimes I'll pull it out and play, but very few and far between. Having no one to share my music with doesn't bring me joy. I loved performing for others. Story 30. My first long-term relationship that lasted 7 years. My then fiancé unceremoniously dumped me after Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house. We were visiting on a break from school, which we attended out of town. He didn't have the decency to leave and stay at a hotel after, so we shared my childhood twin bed for the night, and I didn't get a wink of sleep. I didn't want to make a scene by kicking him out. He also left me a letter explaining why he was leaving me that in part read that I was vanilla in bed. We were 23. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.